Today, I'll explore equity financing, a funding approach that fuels growth by exchanging capital for share ownership. For entrepreneurs, this is more than a way to raise money. It can shape decision-making, influence future returns, and affect the overall direction of the business. The central trade-off is simple. Equity financing provides resources to build and expand, but also means sharing ownership and potentially control. This presentation examines that consequential decision within the broader process of business plan development. Equity financing means raising capital by selling an ownership stake in a business. Investors provide money in exchange for shares, so they participate in both the company's potential upside and its risks. Unlike debt financing, this approach does not require monthly repayments or interest charges. Common sources include angel investors, venture capitalists, private equity firms, crowdfunding, and eventually an IPO. Equity financing can support a company at every stage, from initial seed funding through later Series A, B, and C rounds. Equity financing can come from several types of investors, depending on a company's stage and funding needs. Angel investors are individuals who use their personal wealth to support startups, often very early in their development. Venture capitalists, by contrast, manage pooled professional funds and typically invest in high-growth companies in exchange for substantial ownership. Crowdfunding broadens access by allowing many smaller investors to contribute through platforms, such as Withfunder or Republic. Finally, an IPO enables an established company to raise significant equity from the public by listing shares on a stock exchange. Equity financing offers several important advantages for a growing business. First, there's no repayment obligation, which means a company can preserve cash flow for day-to-day operations and future growth instead of making scheduled loan payments. It also creates shared risk. Investors absorb part of the financial risk, and if the business fails, founders generally aren't personally responsible for returning the invested capital. Finally, equity investors, particularly angels and venture capital firms, can contribute more than money through mentorship, industry relationships, and strategic guidance. Equity financing offers more than an immediate cash infusion. It can strengthen the company's financial foundation and create advantages that build over time. A well-capitalized balance sheet signals strength, not only to banks, but also to customers and future partners. That credibility can help unlock opportunities that underfunded competitors may not be positioned to pursue. So equity is more than a safety net for difficult moments. It can serve as a springboard, giving the business greater flexibility and a stronger platform for future growth. Equity financing can provide important capital, but it also changes how control is shared. When outside investors contribute funds, they may receive an ownership stake and a voice in important decisions. That means raising capital is not simply about gaining financial resources. It also involves considering how much influence the existing owners are willing to share. The central trade-off is between access to capital and control. Understanding that balance helps ensure the financing decision supports both immediate needs and long-term goals. Equity financing can provide valuable capital, but it comes with lasting trade-offs. The central cost is giving up part of the company. Every new share dilutes the founder's ownership, and multiple funding rounds can eventually reduce majority control. Investors may also seek board seats, approval rights, and a voice in strategic decisions, limiting autonomy. In addition, future profits and exit proceeds must be shared with equity holders. Finally, fundraising itself can take months, involving pitches, due diligence negotiations, and legal work that distracts from running the business. Choosing between equity and debt is not about finding one universally better option. It's about matching the financing method to your business model, current stage, and long-term goals. Early stage, high-growth startups often favor equity because it can provide capital without the same repayment pressure, while established businesses with stable revenue may prefer debt and its more structured terms. Many companies ultimately use a blended approach, combining both sources to balance flexibility, ownership, repayment obligations, and growth needs. The right choice depends on what the business can support and where it is headed. This example shows how ownership dilution unfolds across successive funding rounds. A founder begins with 100%, then sells 20% in the seed round and retains 80%. In Series A, a 25% stake for venture capital reduces the founder's ownership to 60%. Another 20% sold in Series B brings that figure to roughly 48%. The key point is that a smaller percentage of a much more valuable company can be worth far more than full ownership of a stagnant one. Before choosing equity financing, I believe entrepreneurs need to answer 4 questions honestly. First, how much control are we willing to give up? Define decision-making boundaries before negotiations begin. Second, are we at a stage where growth potential is high, but internal funds cannot support expansion? Third, what can the right investor contribute beyond money, such as relationships, expertise, or cultural alignment? Finally, what is our exit strategy? Whether that means acquisition, an IPO, or a buyback, aligning on expectations early helps prevent major conflicts later. Equity financing offers meaningful advantages: no repayment, shared risk, expert mentorship, stronger creditworthiness, and potential for rapid growth. But those benefits come with real trade-offs, including diluted ownership, less autonomy, profit sharing, and a demanding fundraising process. The right choice depends on your vision, values, and long-term goals.